At the age of 37, Chris Paul is still one of the best point guards in the league. This type of excellence is rarely ever seen, and even more rare for guards. Typically, they've already played themselves out of the league at this point. But Paul is defying the odds. He's getting starting minutes on a championship contending team. So how exactly is Chris Paul still so dominant? Chris Paul is your prototypical point guard, but on crack. There isn't a single skill set that you can ask from your point guard that Paul doesn't excel in, and he's been able to keep these skill sets at an extremely high level despite getting up in age and declining athleticism. Paul has always been very calculated and precise with his ball handling, never over dribbling and expending more energy than he has to break his opponent. But over the past couple years, he has really tightened and honed in on this ability, almost perfecting it, reading and reacting to each dribble he gives his opponent. He's exceptional at this. Paul doesn't have that same power he once used to, but he still has one of the best and filthiest handles in the game. His ability to navigate around the court so comfortably while exploring his creativity allows him to create tons of opportunities not only for himself but his teammates. Paul's shooting at the 3-point line has certainly dropped this season, shooting just below 32%, but the reputation he carries as a shooter is enough for all defenders to respect him. And it doesn't help that he's shooting a career high from 2-point territory. I mean, how many times have we seen him go to that elbow free throw and we already know it's a bucket? And I mean, he gets to that spot with ease, slowing and accelerating his pace and being unpredictable. CP, even young in his career, never relied on his athleticism, instead using his head and treating the court like a grid and getting to specific spots on it to abuse it. So as he got older, the penalties of his declining athleticism was far less than other guards. Throughout his career, Chris Paul has made a name for himself for having one of the highest basketball IQs, and it really shows when he's orchestrating the Suns' offense. He's never in a rush to do what he has to do, instead controlling the whole tempo and pace of the game. He'll never play into your hand. You want to play the running back and forth sprint game? He will just walk it up each and every time. He does this with his playmaking as well, never in a rush, and I do not say this lightly. Chris Paul might be the greatest pick and roll player in the history of the NBA. He's unstoppable with it, able to read instantaneously how the defender plays it and how he should react. Here he looks at the personnel, decides quickly it's probably not the smartest to go over these long defenders and stretches wide to get the ball around and to Ayton for the easy 2. Here he notices 2 are on him, but the rotation to Ayton is lagging behind, so he darts a quick pass to the paint. Paul, when he rolls, will even slow down and give his pass a little arc to give his roller time to get to the ball and hammer it down. Now, if you got the roller covered, he will dart the ball at his corner shooters, and when you start dedicating more attention to CP, it leaves more shooters open. CP will also hunt matchups mercilessly to get the team the best shot. Here, Dallas doesn't want to switch to pick and roll anymore after Paul repeatedly embarrassed Doncic, so now Brunson has to go over. But Doncic has to stay just long enough to slow Paul down and give Brunson time to recover. What CP does is immediately fire it to Cam Johnson for an open 3. Now this is his favorite thing to do in the pick and roll, snake the defender for an elbow jumper, or snake and hit the rolling man. He's a master at this and all things when it comes to reading the play and developing it. None of these abilities have regressed. To talk about Chris Paul's sheer dominance in basketball at the age of 37, we have to acknowledge the massive shift the league has gone through in the span of his career. The league in the past 5 to 7 years, with the influx of shooting, elected to play a more drop coverage oriented defense. The logic behind it was so the paint would be covered and the perimeter defenders can guard the corner 3. Paul made it a personal agenda to study everything about this coverage to manipulate it and abuse it, and he did just that. That's why we see him snake the pick and roll so often, as the space between the 3-point line and the big isn't covered. In his younger years, he wasn't able to do this as effective as the paint was clogged and there was far less room to operate in. Teams were also able to hedge him in the past to get the ball out of his hand, but now you can't play aggressive coverage like that because the pick and pop 3 is open. Paul has really benefited from the league shift. It has led to more open space for him to operate and punish other teams. All these reasons cumulatively, and Paul putting a larger emphasis on taking care of his body, has been the backbone on why he's still so dominant this late into his career. This is Earn Your Ranks, where we only talk about ball. Signing off.